In the heart of the forest, legends awaken from the shadows. The tales of Sasquatch echo through time, a mystery that remains unsolved.
As the smoke clears, the sign stands resolute, a beacon of intrigue. What secrets lie within the forest's depths? The quest for truth begins at Sasquatch Watch Radio. Here's Billy Willard and Gary Kendrick.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is Monday, February 3rd, 2025, and we're still waiting on our guest to arrive, Mr. Garret Bell, who had a recent encounter in the state of Mississippi just this past January 2025. So we're waiting on him to call in or link in, I guess you could call it. So until he does that, then we'll get our host in here, Gary Kendrick. How you doing, Gary?
Hey, Billy. How is everybody this evening?
I think we're all surviving. I think a lot of us had a nice heat wave today.
Oh, it was. It was really warm. Felt really good. I'm kind of under the weather, so I didn't really get to enjoy it that much.
Yeah, that makes it stink a little bit.
Yeah.
Can't get out there and enjoy it. So let me just look here real quick, see if he's tried to message in. Let's see here. All right. I don't see it. I don't see his message yet, but all right. So we'll wait and see if he comes in. I know that he got the message. He, said he was still good. So we'll wait for him to show up. So have you seen anything interesting this week on the internet, Gary?
Yeah. The video was actually posted about 3 weeks ago. And if any of you guys in the chat or, that's listening to us tonight's familiar with Dale Brisby, he's this cowboy persona. Dale Brisby's not his real name, but he does this little thing called Rodeo Time. And about 3 weeks ago, they posted one called I Shot Bigfoot. And I was fascinated with it. And what it is Dale Brisby's interviewing this other cowboy, and he was talking about a hunting preserve. And, they was talking about they took this one old boy out. I'll just give you the quick story on it, but you guys need to check it out. It's hilarious. And they took him out probably about 4 o'clock in the morning, dropped him off in his blind. And they said it hadn't been no time. Said they just hear 5 shots rip just as fast as you can rip them. And they said, oh, well, we need to go check on him. So they went down there to check on him. And when they get down there to check on him as they're going down the road, he's coming back up the road, flying, running. And they stopped him and said, hey, man, what's going on? He said, I just shot Bigfoot. And they said, what? He said, I was in the blind. He said, I have a phone. I was scrolling on Facebook. And he said, Bigfoot stuck his hand through the window of that blind and took the phone right out of my hand. And he said, I just ripped 5 through the blind at him. They was like, well, let's go down here and check. And he's like, no, I ain't going to go down there. They said, well, we'll wait till it gets daylight. And he said, well, you can wait on the Marines to show up. I'm not going back down there. So they waited till it got daylight and drove back down there. And there's the hunting blind with 5 holes in the side of it. Like, boy, he shot through the blind. And they get up there closer, and there's a big pool of blood under the blind. And they're like, boy, this Jasper shot something. So they blood trail for probably about 600 yards, I think he said. And they said, sure enough, right there lays Bigfoot dead as a hammer with a cell phone in his hand. He said, except it's not Bigfoot. It's a 400-pound silverback gorilla. So they load this thing up and take it to the local sheriff and say, look, man, we had a client down here, and he shot this gorilla. And the sheriff said, oh, thank God. He said that thing escaped about 60 miles from here. And he said, he'd been raising Cain all over the place. He said, I'm glad you boys got it. And he's like, well, shouldn't you have warned people that this thing was loose? And he said, nah, that had just stirred up panic. People been shooting at everything coming and going. Which I told Billy when I was telling the story to Billy, I flashed right back to Chester Moore talking about feral primates. In Texas, it's like the perfect environment. if you're going to have feral primates.
Yep. Nice and warm climate. Got just about everything they need, if it wants a dry area, if it wants to go into the northeastern part where it's thicker and
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
I've been kind of fascinated. I've been watching some stuff and studying up a little bit on this eDNA. It's an environmental DNA source, and they can get DNA evidence from the ground, from the air, from water, and just to see what's walked through and done all this other stuff. And they say it's actually a lot cheaper to do than regular DNA studies. They say they can sort out and tell you, hey, an elk has been through here, a bear's been through here, and this has been through here, and then people have walked through here. And it's pretty interesting stuff.
Nice. For everybody that's just now logging in, we're still waiting on our guest, Garret Bell. Messaged him early. Well, actually, I messaged him, I think it was yesterday, just to make sure he was still going to be here. And he said it was all good. And sent him a message earlier. And y'all know how Messenger is. And when they see it, the little profile picture pops up. So I know he saw the message, but I haven't heard back from him. So everybody that's just now logging in, we're still waiting on the guest to come into the studio. So just wanted to keep everybody informed. And in the meantime, we'll try to burn the airwaves with our crazy stories.
Anything big going on up around your way, Billy?
No, we haven't had anything at all. Nothing that I've heard of as of late. The only thing we've had is something, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago that happened up near Lake Anna, a road crossing. That's it. Nothing else. So,
I volunteered during the summers with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers at one of our local campgrounds, and I was doing some research for past shows now, but I found, you can find all of the BFRO reports. And I was like, hey, I'll just check and see if there's been any in my county. And sure enough, come up on one from 2021. And the bad part about it was I was in the campground when it happened and didn't know nothing about it. But a man and a woman were catfishing on down the river from where the campground is. And they had said something was throwing big rocks in the water, and then had some wood knocks, repeated wood knocks. They said you could hear loud walking.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I know that, and I know right exactly where the spot is, I'm going to go try to check it out. I'm waiting on the weather to kind of get a little bit better for real.
Yeah. Right now, it's probably a muddy mess.
Yeah, you can't. The spot where it actually happened at is actually across the river from the road. Mm-hmm. So I'd have to access it with a canoe, and the lake is way down. I could probably walk across through there, but that ain't happening. It would break my leg. That ain't happening.
Yeah, it's really wet. It's wet here. We've had temperatures in the mid 50s to 60s, and everything, the trails, everything around here is just muddy. So waiting for some nice, clear, dry, but don't look like we're going to get that either because they're calling for snow again this weekend.
Yeah, I know. The ground here is like saturated. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just so full of water, it's not going anywhere. There's spots in my yard that's holding water.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't go nowhere.
All right. Well, since we're still waiting on our guest, I see that more people have popped in here. Now that we're still waiting for our guest, I'm going to put out an offer. If any of you guys there in the chat, or anybody listening, if you can get on the chat, if you want to come on the show, I can send you the link, and you can come. We can bring you into the studio, and we can talk Bigfoot, whatever you want to talk about. So I'm making that offer right now because I don't know if he's going to show up or not at this point. We know we've had this happen one other time with another guest, so we were just not sure what to, since I'm not getting a message back from him, I don't know what's going on. So he hasn't. Okay, all right, he's typing something right now as we speak. We'll see what he says here. So give it a minute. He must be typing. So,
Digger, I didn't see there.
we do have. All right, hold on. All right, he says he's logging in right now, so he's getting ready to come in. So wait for him here to log in. Said he's been busy today all day. Anyway, so we've got some guests lined up. So we're going to have Tommy and Cheryl Ray from South Carolina on next Monday night. My understanding is we're going to have, I haven't scheduled the day yet, but we're going to have Steve Coles back on the show. He just wrote a new book.
Oh, good.
So he wants to talk about his new book. And here within the next few weeks, we're going to have Daniel Toth on the show. For everyone who doesn't or doesn't know Daniel Toth, he is a retired Navy SEAL. And him and a group of other Navy SEALs just created a group, which is interesting. And so we're going to have him on the show so he can talk about some of the things they're working on and things that they got coming up. So that'll be an interesting show also. This will be his first podcast. So he claims that he hasn't done any podcasts. So this will be the first. You'll see it here on Sasquatch Watch Radio first.
Yeah, them Navy SEALs, them some pretty tough dudes.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just one of them things where you sign up and you're in.
Yeah. I mean, they try. Not everybody can be a Marine, but they try.
Right. Right. That's like Army Ranger, I mean, those dudes are something too, Hey,
they do they call it the Ranger course every year, and they invite every branch of service.
Yeah.
And of course, the Army has more people in it, than anybody else because it's,
right.
The Ranger course.
Right.
But there's a lot of Marines that participate in it, and they do some pretty rugged stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I also know that you guys, I know some of the rigorous stuff that you all go through, and I know a lot of that from my wife's brother. He went to Camp Lejeune, and he's told me the stories, where they throw all these guys into a building and then set off some tear gas or whatever. And
oh God, that CS gas, that is wicked, dude. That's like tear gas and then some. That stuff is wicked.
Yeah. Yes, I've heard some of the stories.
That's one of the funniest things. When you go to the gas chamber, it's set up so you can be confident with using your gas mask. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you go in, you don't have the mask on. They start introducing gas into the room. When I was doing it, they actually had a little acid pot, and they would drop tablets down in an acid pot.
Mm-hmm.
Like usually 2 tablets is enough to smoke everything up real good, and you're going to cough and wheeze and go on.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Well, he had this one old crusty staff sergeant. I swear, he puts like 6, 8 of them in there. I mean, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. I mean, that room was thick. And you go in there, no mask, you put your mask on, seal it and everything else like that, and you got to walk around. And then they make you take your mask off before you leave the chamber, and you have to stop at that staff sergeant at the door. You have to give your name, your rank,
Mm-hmm.
and your serial number before you leave the chamber. And I've seen people puke at that door, pass out. It's wicked stuff.
I'm sure it is. All right, Garrett says he's having issues logging in. Let me send him the link again. Okay. See if that works. Oh, yeah. Mick, we'd love to have you on. Matter of fact, you better make sure you're tuning in, next week, Gary?
Yeah, I've got a special shirt.
He's got a special surprise for you, Mick, so you're going to want to tune in next Monday. Real special surprise, just for Mick. So, you don't want to miss next week, Mick.
I told Billy, I said, I try to be really professional when I'm talking to the guests and interviewing the guests and stuff like that. And I said, Mick just cracks me up, dude. He'll post something and I'll just freaking lose it. I can't help it. As I sit here and I read all of the chat while I'm trying to ask questions, and I respond sometimes on my cell phone. If you guys see me looking down like that, I'm answering something on my phone. I haven't figured out how to use the computer yet.
What you need to do, we'll get it real complicated for you, Gary, and you get you a second monitor so that you can have two screens going at once.
Lord God, I couldn't do that. I'm lucky to do what I'm doing. Billy will tell you I am not a technology guy. I am not a technology guy. Oh, yeah, I'll eat some meatloaf. Hey, look, Jack, I'm telling you.
Maybe not that particular meatloaf.
Maybe not that particular one, but now I'd say I've had pretty close. I was in the Marines for a pretty good while.
Oh, I think we got it.
There
he is. What's going on, Garrett?
Hey, Garrett.
How are y'all? Excuse me.
I'm good. How about you?
Oh, man, can't complain.
Wouldn't do you no good.
No, sir, nobody listen.
That's right. Amen.
So, Garrett, I want you to meet my co-host, Gary Kendrick. He's the man that likes to ask you all the questions.
How you doing, Mr. Gary? You doing all right?
Pretty good, Garrett. How about you?
Good.
All right. We're running a little late. I'm going to hop dead into it.
All right. Good.
Okay, so we're jumping straight into the hot oil right here.
That'll work.
All right. You had your encounter last month in January.
Yes.
What day was it?
Oh, it was about I think Tuesday. Yeah. And
what day
Tuesday in the evening.
What day of the month was it?
Maybe around the 10th, I would say.
Okay. In as much detail as you can, describe your encounter.
All right. So I was sitting there, entered the woods and kind of felt a weird eerie feeling, like something was watching me, walk down my trail I had, and so I just didn't think anything of it. I'd been there a few times, and walked in there, got in a stand, and kind of uneasy feeling kind of went away, and then came back about an hour later, and back to my right on that road I was walking in. My food plot is on the other side of the road, so at that time I heard like some walking. It wasn't just walking; it was like running, because you could tell it was like shoveling pine straw with his feet, and so I kind of looked down that road and didn't see anything. But about 10 minutes later, I seen or heard something like get up in the bottom. Like there was another animal there with it. And it was big, you could tell. And it came up towards me, like towards the wood line, like by the food plot. And it was like it came up and like looked at whatever it was in the food plot, turned around and went back towards the bottom. then I thought that was kind of odd. And maybe 35, 45 minutes later, it let out it was like a weird howl. It was like a howl mixed with a scream kind of. And I kind of, the brave me wanted to stay and, listen to what it did, but other other me told me to get out. So I climbed down and went about my business.
Okay. Did you ever see anything?
I didn't. I heard it several times and it was heavy. It
Okay.
Can you describe the howl, like the
Yeah, it
what's the best way you can describe it?
it was like a woo, and it did it for about 10 seconds. And
Okay.
Sounds
it
like the
was like,
Ohio.
yeah, almost identical to the Ohio howl.
Yeah.
Almost identical to it.
Yeah. Garrett, prior to your encounter, uh, had you had any interest in Bigfoot or read anything about Bigfoot or anything?
Oh yes, sir. Most definitely. Down here in South Mississippi, we've got a lot of non-believers, but a lot of people that do believe, and there's just stuff out here that in the woods.
Got them boogers down the bottom.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Uh,
sir.
could anyone else have had access to this location?
No, sir. It's completely landlocked. So it's our hunting club, and then there's a creek behind it, and then all this. I guess they could through the government woods, but
Mhm.
it'd be a long walk. There's no roads or anything.
Garrett, could there have been any chance that someone may have been hoaxing you or one of your buddies trying to play a prank on you?
Not that I know of, because they didn't know I was hunting. That evening. So
Yeah. What was the
and
weather conditions like?
it was chilly. It was right when the South Mississippi got that real cold snap, and it was right when it was getting cold, and
Yeah.
then it started drizzling a little bit. And the weird thing, right as it started drizzling, that's when that thing let out the hoot out, like the hoot or howl, whatever you want to call it. And it was weird, like right when it started drizzling, it let out.
Did you have any smells or anything like that you could smell of?
No, sir, and I've even smelt one a few times, and I really didn't smell it, dog, slash zoo smell at all. It that I thought that was kind of odd, not being able to smell it, but it was also, I wouldn't say too close, but too far, 'cause you kind of got to be right up on them to smell them, but yeah, I didn't smell it at all.
Uh, so this is obviously not your first encounter because you said you've smelled them before.
Right.
What's the difference in the locations?
Um, a good mile off, about 5 to 8 miles.
Okay. Uh,
Same property, the same
No,
land, or
sir,
different? Okay.
different property. Yes, sir.
Okay.
uh,
Let me ask this real quick, Gary.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah.
Tennessee Cherokee said that Jeffy Smith and him just took a report from a man and his grandmother in Meadville, Mississippi. Is that close to you at all, Meadville?
Meadville, I do believe that's up north from where I am.
Okay.
Maybe about 2 hours or so.
Okay.
Garrett, was this your first time in this one particular area?
Oh, not my first time. It was a new hunting club, but because I just joined the lease this year, but I have been there a few times,
Okay.
and what was crazy is like before season started in October, and so there's these nice roads, and there would be just like broken sticks and limbs, just like placed there. Like the weather couldn't have put them there. I mean, I guess they could have, but it was just odd.
Okay.
That tree stand, was it a permanent stand or a portable stand?
Yes, sir. It was permanent. It was a tripod
Permanent.
stand.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, that's a little spooky there in them tripod stands. You're wide open.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
wide open.
Yep.
Garrett, was this your first time in this area?
No, sir. I'd been there a few times.
Okay. Uh, so you was talking about the sound that it made, the
Yes, sir.
howling. Uh, how did you feel when you first heard that howl?
Man, of course, hair stood up on the back of my neck, and I've heard them before, so I kind of, it was a shock, but it wasn't a shock, I started playing through my head what it could be, and I halfway believe what I think it was, and all this is racing through my head, and then about 5 minutes later, I got a weird feeling that I needed to leave. I don't know why, but
Yeah, that's always a good move. Follow your gut.
right.
No, when
Have
that when
you?
that thing when that thing made that noise, did you feel it? Was you able to feel the noise or
No, sir, I really didn't feel it because
okay.
like I said, it just started raining, but it
Okay.
was. Ooh.
Okay.
How far do you think the sound was from where you was at?
Oh, I looked at it, on Google Maps, the next day or that night actually, just to get about it. It's about 150 yards, 160 somewhere in there.
Uh, this is going to sound really weird. Okay.
Yeah, good.
Have you returned to that site since this encounter?
Yes, sir.
Did you find any kind of physical evidence there? Footprints, hair, brush knocked down, anything like that?
No, sir. There was though. I didn't see it, but my buddy went in there because we had a pretty good buck coming in right there, and he, drove his 4-wheeler down that road, and there was another. It wasn't big, tree, but it was like a smaller tree pushed over, and kind of laid on the bushes, like just blocking the road. And he, I told him about it, about me hearing it, and he blew it off. And then he seen that tree laying across the road like that, like on top of the bushes. It was like something placed it there. He was like, "Man, I don't know what that was." So I got him to thinking,
Yeah.
what it could be.
Now are you do you still feel like you'll go back there and continue hunting?
Yes, sir, I will. And it's odd. Like I've hunted it, a few times since then. But after that, after I heard it, I don't feel that weird watch me feeling when I go into the woods now.
Okay.
It's it's odd. Like
Yeah. So it's different. It's like a different feeling
right.
when you're going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like normal now. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What kind of gear did you have with you when you're going? Was it bow season, rifle season?
No, sir, it was rifle season. I had my pack on my back and my rifle in my hand.
What kind of rifle was you carrying?
30-06.
You feel, and this is just kind of reaching at straws here with the sound that you heard. I know you didn't see anything, but do you feel
Right.
that what you had would have been sufficient to protect you if you had to?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Even though I don't think it's meant to hurt nobody, I mean, I wholeheartedly believe it's gonna, see you and mess with you and stuff, but I wouldn't think it would try to attack you or anything. But still, it makes you feel a little easier, I guess you could say, holding a rifle. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that ain't
Give
no
you
lie.
some kind of chance, right?
yes, sir.
I'm gonna tell you, when I go into the woods, I'm armed, big time.
Oh, most definitely.
I don't play around.
I
Uh,
But the crazy thing is, we hadn't had any, no more encounters on our land, but on the national forest right down the road from it, less than a mile, we it's the last day of dog season. What was that? 2 weeks ago down here, we were catching dogs, and you know how you hoot, for the dogs, and so we hollered for 'em. They were to our right, and I heard something. It could have been a deer or anything. We were right there on the creek. So I walked to the creek to see if I could see the dog. And something, I don't know if it was crossing the creek or just on the edge of the creek, but it like went through the water and came back up the other side. And I was like, oh, here's the dog right here. And then Matt's like, no, no, the dog's are to our right. I was like, what the heck? So I just stayed right there. And my buddy, he went up the creek, and he hollered for him, and whatever it was, it made that same dang. It's like it mimicked Matt, my buddy. And I had his girlfriend with me. She was like, "What the heck was that?" I was like, "Ah, hard to tell." And it kind of freaked her out. And we just went back and caught our dog a few miles up the road there. But that was another odd encounter.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Now, has there been any other sightings in that area? Have you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long ago?
Maybe last year
Okay.
before.
Cool.
Can you describe what kind of animals are in that area? I know there's a feral hog problem everywhere right now. Do you guys have hogs down there?
Oh, we actually don't have any hogs on our lease. They pass through, but they don't, just hang out. We had hogs, during bow season, but after bow season they kind of, I guess left because we hadn't had them on camera since. But we got hogs, we got hoot owls, of course, uh, fox, coyotes, just all the predators.
Any of the
Mhm.
larger cats, mountain lions, panther,
No, sir.
bobcat?
We we got an occasional bobcat, comes through,
Okay.
but
Now, you had mentioned cameras. Do you guys have cameras yourself out there, or does just the lease have
no, sir.
cameras?
We've got cameras. We got about 8 of them.
And nothing, never got caught anything on those.
No, sir. I wish that'd be neat.
Yeah, yeah, that would be nice.
There's the game camera thing, and I don't think that's the way to go. When somebody calls and tells me, "Hey, I'm having a problem.
Yeah.
Sasquatch is messing with my stuff," or I'm afraid for my family or whatever, I tell them to get some game cameras, put them out, cheapest ones you can get.
Yeah,
And as soon as you do that, no activity.
Right.
yeah. Even though us hunters down south, we always got that. Well, if there's Bigfoot, why ain't he being caught on camera? Well,
Yeah.
I think they could see the infrared, and
I agree with you. I
Yeah,
think they can
and-
see it, they can hear it, and they can smell it.
right. Because if a
Yeah.
buck can see it easily, a Sasquatch could.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So
Yeah.
Tennessee Cherokee wants to know
Bears-
where do you live at exactly?
It's called Brooklyn, Mississippi.
Brooklyn,
It's about
Mississippi.
yes, sir. It's about 25 to 30 minutes from Hattiesburg, and
Okay.
about 30 minutes from the coast.
Okay.
And honestly, have y'all heard about that Mike Bueller guy?
Mike Bueller, that sounds familiar.
Yes,
Okay,
sir. He's seen a K, or he's on I think it's Bigfoot Society,
Mhm.
and he's seen him not too far from me, about 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
But the way the crow flies, through the woods, that's not that far.
Right.
And he's got a good encounter of him.
Cool.
Of a Sasquatch.
Cool.
That was 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Garrett, are there any water sources? I know you said down at the bottoms, which usually, deep southern lingo, that's the creek bottoms.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got there's a small creek called Beaver Dam Creek, and then there's the Big Black Creek. Beaver Dam's a smaller creek,
Uh-huh.
but the big creek's Black Creek.
Now, the general area around where your sighting happened at, is it swampy, brushy?
It's
How would you
pretty
describe
swampy. Yes, sir. Down along the creek bottom. It kind of remind you a lot of North Mississippi. In the Delta type area, swamps.
Yeah. Probably a lot of cattails.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What type of vegetation, like natural feed? Now, I'm talking from a hunter standpoint.
Right.
Every hunter knows that, this is going to feed on this, this is going to feed on this.
Yeah, so we got a lot of oaks.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of oaks.
What about berries or other fruits?
Yes, sir. Yeah, there's berries and other type fruits. Yeah.
I think one of our biggest ones around here is a pawpaw. I don't know if you've ever heard of a pawpaw or not.
I hadn't.
Yeah. It's kind of like a North American papaya. They're native.
Gotcha.
It tastes like a cross between a pumpkin and a banana is what it tastes like.
Oh, cool. That's pretty neat.
I know we talked about this before, but were there any previous sightings before you had yours on this area that you're aware of?
Not on this area. I mean, when I started talking about, everybody, in the hunting club laughed at me, but there's this old man that he does claim there's something there, but he doesn't believe, in Bigfoot either. And I try to get stories out of him, but he's kind of quiet about them. Like, he's not open to talk, about them.
A lot of the older generation won't.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's hard to get anything out of them.
Yeah.
Now, you were hunting at the time that this happened.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any scents out? I know, like, personally, when I hunt, I usually have like a cover scent and maybe an attractant.
Right. I just had cover scent on,
Had what now?
Just a cover scent, just natural earth.
That's what I use. Yeah,
Really?
natural earth.
Yeah, that's the best.
Let's see here. Let me go through my stuff here.
Well, while you're doing that, if you want me to, Gary, I'll play that song that we made for him.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
All right. Garrett, you told me you like country music.
Yes, sir.
So I think this is a pretty good one. I think you'll like this one because it's just got that Mississippi sound to it.
Hey, all right.
So it's called, name of the song is Garret Bell's Bigfoot Hunt.
Okay.
Here we go.
Garret Bell went hunting in the Mississippi woods, searching for a legend where once no one could. With his old beat-up truck and a lantern for a light, he swore to catch Bigfoot if it took all night. He heard tales from the locals about a beast in the pines, with footprints so big it blew their minds. Through the dense, dark forest he would tread, determined to find where Bigfoot had fled. Garret Bell, he's chasing shadows in the trees, hoping to find the proof he needs. With the moon as his guide and a heart so bold, the story of Bigfoot will soon be told. Down by the creek he saw tracks in the mud. His heart skipped a beat, his veins filled with blood. He followed the trail deep into the night. The whispers of the forest gave him a fright. Fog rolled in thick as a woolen shroud. Every broken twig seemed extra loud. But Garret pushed forward, never lost faith. In the lore of Bigfoot he saw his fate. Garret Bell, he's chasing shadows in the trees, hoping to find the proof he needs. With the moon as his guide and a heart so bold, a story of Bigfoot will soon be told. Garret Bell, he's chasing shadows in the trees, hoping to find the proof he needs. With the moon as his guide and a heart so bold, a story of Bigfoot will soon be told.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, man, that's pretty neat.
Man. Kind of some bluegrassy type music there. That's what
I like it.
Garrett, I know, when you was originally describing your encounter, you said, was it a deer that had got up and went over to smell of that and left out, or describe it to me again?
Describe what?
Like in your encounter, you said you was looking down towards the bottom and you could hear something moving around.
Oh yeah. I don't know, because whatever it was like it got up. It was either had to have been a big buck, because like it didn't sneak through the woods, but you could tell it was there, and it like walked up towards the wood line, and then it kind of just walked right directly back from where it was coming from.
Okay.
I don't know. That could have been a deer, but I don't. It was just weird. Yeah, I don't think it was.
All right. This is going to sound like a really weird question. I know
Mhm.
this is a hunting lease. It's a hunting club, or what you want to call it.
Yes, sir.
Back here, we call them lease. But anyway, that means there are several people in that area that are hunting,
Right.
that have rights and access to hunt that area. But how many people are in this particular hunting club?
Yes, sir. There's 8.
8. Okay.
Yes.
Of the 8 of you guys that hunt in this particular area, has anybody that you know of? Because look, I'm a hunter. Everybody sits around and talks about it, blah, 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 whatever. Has anybody lost any deer? Shot it? No, they put a good hit on it.
Yes, sir.
And just can't find it.
Yes, sir. There's a few.
Now this is kind of going to put you on the spot. Are those guys pretty solid hunters, or?
They're pretty solid,
Because I hear a lot of encounters where, like on these hunting leases, that Bigfoot will actually come to these leases and prey on the deer that the hunters take.
Yeah.
They'll sit and watch, and then the Bigfoot will go and get it. A lot of times guys will come up and there'll be a big blood pile, and then there's like nothing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Carried off.
Because look at coyotes. You shoot a deer. Sometimes you give him 2 hours, and that coyote could have him tore apart. By the
Yeah, it
time
don't
you
take long.
get to him. Right.
Yeah, it don't take long.
Yeah.
Got a question here from Tennessee Cherokee. If I can get this mouse to work. He wants to know, how far is it from where you had your sighting to Meadville?
I want to say it's about 3 hours. Yeah.
Okay, about 3 hours. Okay, when you had this initial encounter, you said you had a strange feeling.
Yes, sir.
Describe that strange feeling that you had. What did you feel like?
So, do y'all know when like somebody's watching you, and like from behind, and you can kind of feel it? Yeah, it felt just like that. Like he wasn't alone there, and of course you were supposed to be, but you just had that weird feeling of something right there. Like watching you through the woods.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps, and I worked at a super maximum security prison for 14.
Oh, nice. Well, thanks for your service.
I appreciate it.
Yes,
I know
sir.
exactly what you're talking about. And I don't want to get too much into it. I know you worked in law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
During your time in law enforcement, was there any odd calls around that area or around any area that you
I,
worked?
I'm not sure about that area because that wasn't my, district. It was a whole different county. But
Yeah.
I know of, because it happened in Perry County, and I know of a few sightings along the highway in Perry County.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's pretty good when the police are picking them up.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
How long was you in law enforcement? I don't want to get into what your job was or whatever. You was in law enforcement.
Yeah, I was in corrections. I worked corrections 2 years, but as a corrections officer, you always want to go ride with the police. So when I wasn't working, I was doing ride-alongs or just to try to further my law enforcement career. So
Corrections is, I'm telling you right now, corrections is a hard route to go.
it is. It'll teach you to talk to people, and you gotta be kind of tough.
It'll pick up your senses a whole lot too. When you walk into a pod and you're the only unarmed man there, you
Right.
kind of got to know you got to be able to read the room.
Yes, sir. Gotta read them good.
Uh, Speaking of law enforcement and like reading the room and things like that, uh, when you had this strange feeling, you said it was there and then it was gone.
Right.
In the interim, in between, because it happened twice, you said.
Yes, sir.
In the interim, did you have any thoughts about what was going on, or hey, maybe that was a bear or a big bobcat, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Try to debunk it in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a few things I've debunked. Like the trees. I was like, okay, some of this could be weather related, but there's some of them that's just unexplainable, and I've even got pictures I could send to y'all that they're pretty neat. It's like in a lot of my research, I found like people like video like trees in an X form. I don't
Uh-huh.
know if y'all ever seen that, but
Yep.
yeah, I took a picture on our not far from where I heard it on our lease of a tree in an X, and that was odd.
Mm-hmm.
Was it on the ground or was it standing up?
It was standing up like propped up against one tree, and then the other limb was placed kind of on the side of it.
Have you found any other strange stick structures or anything like that in the area?
Yes, sir. Uh, a limb. It was about an inch and a half, tall. I mean thick, and it was about 7 to 8 foot tall. But it was like something just put its arm up there and twisted it and broke it sideways, and it just stayed sideways like that.
Huh.
I was like, now that is odd. That because you would think if it was weather, I mean, weather nature does weird things, but you would think that whole tree, would be pushed over and not just snapped and kind of laid over. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh, are you guys? I know you said you was pretty close to the coast. Are you guys prone to hurricanes or?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Now this look different. Did this particular thing that you was talking about? Did it look different than storm damage? What it
Oh,
was?
yes, sir. Yeah, there wasn't a big storm, when recent to the snap of the tree.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I do a lot of Facebook trolling.
Yes, sir.
That's where I get a lot of information on guests and things like that. And I seen some of your pictures. Now, just based on the pictures, what I'm seeing is typical Southern Mississippi. It's a lot of pine. Looks like a lot of black pine. A
Yes,
few
sir.
white pine mixed in there. Maybe some loblolly. You got some pretty high grass.
Yes, sir.
Things like that. Uh, in that environment like that, is it real sandy?
Towards the creeks it is. Yes, sir. It yeah, our food our whole lease is, right there on Black Creek, so it's pretty sandy. Yes, sir.
What kind of food plot do you all have out?
I just got ryegrass.
Just ryegrass.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cereal rye, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you noticed in your food plot that any of it has been tore up, smashed down,
No,
destroyed,
sir.
anything like that?
Like there'll be weird stuff, around the food plot where it's like swamp, but as in the actual food plot, nothing really messes or messed with it.
Explain what you mean by some of the weird stuff around the swamp.
Yeah, like say those broken trees and where those X's are, at the limb, that was, right there at a right at a swamp where it starts.
How
And
close is that to that food plot?
oh, maybe 100 yards, if that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Eh,
It's making a little sense.
And
Yes, sir.
no footprints found around the swampy areas.
No, sir. I wish, because I was hunting them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because and it's weird. Like I've only felt that feeling on that lease in that one particular area. I
Mhm.
don't feel it nowhere else.
Yeah,
And what's crazy is the deer sign. Like I've hunted all year and seen very little deer where heard the Sasquatch.
yeah,
And but the other side of the lease, there's plenty of deer,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that kind of struck me as odd. Because even at nighttime, there's no pictures at all, and
yeah,
that was odd.
yeah.
It kind of makes sense, though.
Yes, sir. It definitely
It
does.
kind of makes sense. Uh, in the area where you were hunting at, did you choose the place that you wanted to stand, or did somebody else?
Somebody else placed it there.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
With the placement of the stand, about roughly what direction was it facing? North, south, east?
I do believe it was facing west. I do believe.
Okay, so you would have had like the last rays of the sun coming in.
Right, right.
And what time of day was you out there again?
Oh, I got there. I got in the stand about 2:30, and all of this happened. I checked my phone at about 4:15 ish.
And about what time did it get dark?
It got dark around probably around 4:45, I'd say, because it was raining that evening.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, a sprinkle. The sun went out, so.
What was the temperature?
Oh, it was on the cool side. I'd say it was around 60, 50 to 60.
He said the cool side.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We hit 65 today, brother, and I was tickled to death.
Oh boy.
We've had negative temperatures and everything else.
Oh goodness. So y'all must be from up north.
No,
Not too far. We're in Virginia.
Really?
I live right on the border between Virginia and Kentucky.
Oh, cool.
I can actually see the storms coming from Kentucky.
Nice.
When you see the storm come across the mountain from Kentucky towards you,
Yes, sir.
as my great granddad said, you better have your water and your wood carried in. It's about to get bad. And I don't care what it is, rain, snow, whatever, it's going to be bad.
Yes, sir.
When this incident took place, what was your immediate thoughts? Was your immediate thoughts like, hey, I need to tell somebody, or I
No,
probably
sir.
need to keep my mouth?
I kind of kept it, quiet. I didn't want to, number one, look like a chicken. Because I left. Number two, they wouldn't believe me. So, And one night we were just sitting around the fire talking, and kind of just brought it up. And
I've been the weird Bigfoot kid for a long time,
yes, sir.
so there's nothing wrong with it. I actually had a physical sighting in 2006,
Oh, nice.
so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Everybody kind of looks at you a little bit weird, and then you'll get people on the side say, "Hey, wait a minute, man, let me tell you about this."
Right.
Now, have you had that happen to you? Has somebody else come up and said, "Hey, look, man, I heard you saw a Bigfoot. Let me tell you what happened."
Most definitely. Last deer season, we were at a store, just a little hometown store, and everybody's kind of around. This guy's getting a Subway. I'm checking out. He's like, "Hey, man, before you leave, I need to holler at you." And he told me about some Bigfoot stuff that happened to him last bow season. And but with it, conversate in front of everybody.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So you heard the noise. You had all these weird feelings. Did you immediately suspect that it was Bigfoot, or did you think that maybe it could have been, something unusual, a bear, a hog, a panther?
kind of in a way. At first, I was like, "What the crap was that?" And I stood there, started thinking, and yeah, without a doubt, I'm pretty sure of what it was. I mean, 'cause-
Yeah,
yeah,
that howl that you described. There's not a lot of give or take on that.
no,
That's
sir.
uh, me and Billy was at one area investigating, and it wasn't a loud growl or anything else. And I was inside of a vehicle, and I could actually feel it in my
Ooh,
chest. I mean, it wasn't like. Do you remember that one, Billy?
Mhm. Yep.
It wasn't loud, but I
Right.
could feel the vibrations
Right.
right.
in my chest. And I'm gonna tell you, I was in a Jeep Wrangler. It was a Rubicon, and I threw that thing in gear, and I was getting out of there.
Hey, I
And
feel you.
I ended up framing it out on a stump. I was getting out of there, and it took
It
me forever to get it off that stump, but I finally got out of there.
yeah.
That's one of them deals where I'm like, I don't want to get out. What
Right.
was that?
Like,
There's don't feel ashamed. It
yes, sir.
happens to us.
Like you want to stay and investigate, but something's telling you go.
Mhm.
Well, and I always tell people err on the side of caution, uh, because you never know what you're going to run into.
Right. I mean, it is a wild animal. So,
Yeah, and that's one of the things. It's a wild animal that's probably 3-4 times our size.
yes, sir.
And if I hate to say it, but if you piss it off, you could be in a world of hurt.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Uh, do you think that? Do you think that it was trying to warn you off with that yell?
Yes, sir.
Or do you think
Because
it was just trying to let you know, hey, I'm here?
um, possibly a little of both. Because how it was like running, cause I heard the footsteps at first on the road, and then it's like it like picked up its pace, like maybe it seen me and like went towards the bottom because it started ruffling the pine straw harder. I could tell that, and it kind of like it seen me, and then it was like crap. He spotted me. I gotta go, and he like ran towards the bottom, and then I heard it a little while after. It did get quiet, but that's when it came up towards me, maybe to see what I was, a
Uh-huh.
little bit clear, but kind of hide from me also. And then it shot back, towards the bottom, and then that's when I heard it, holler out.
Now I'm
So
gonna be honest. I've hunted some areas that are pine straw. It's pretty thick.
yes, sir.
When you get into a pine grove, and that stuff is absolutely everywhere. I've done a lot of training in South Carolina and in North Carolina, and that pine is thick and it muffles everything. But you
Yes,
said
sir.
you hear it running.
Oh, yes, sir. Most definitely.
Now, do you think it was the weight you could hear that it was so much heavier? Kind of describe what the footprint sounded like.
Yes, sir. So you know how we could like walk through pine straw, and you can hear it like,
Yeah.
but you could tell it had some weight on it. And so I started looking, but I couldn't see anything. So I just played it cool, and then that's where when all that stuff. Because I started hearing it from behind me there to my right, and then it kind of walked fast down, hit the holler to like maybe get another view, maybe another vantage point at me, like where it could actually see what I was, and then it hollered out. So it was definitely heavy. Because at first I was like, "What the heck is somebody doing down here? It's a weekday, and all our folks hunt or work, till late. I own my own business, so I kind of work and hunt when I want to. So
Okay, this is a weird question. I try to ask everybody on the show this question, and I'm going to explain it as I go along. Okay.
okay.
It's animal, mineral, or vegetable. Animal, do you think that Sasquatch is a living animal?
Oh, most definitely.
Mineral, do you think that Sasquatch might be interdimensional or extraterrestrial?
Uh that's a good point. I think he could do some slick stuff, to be an animal. It's hard to explain, but
The vegetable part, do you think it may be spiritual, or do you think that it might be a combination of spiritual, interdimensional, extraterrestrial, and living animal?
I think a little of both. Cause I don't know that could be a broad topic.
It is. That's why I ask it.
Right. That's a good question.
And I
Like,
mean, I'm just going to be honest with you, Garrett. Nobody has one tied up down at the barn. Nobody's going down there every day checking on it, see what it does. You know what I'm saying?
right.
This is just like, what does Garret Bell feel?
Yes, sir. I honestly, I don't know if y'all believe in the Bible or God or anything. I think it's a descendants of Cain because that's what my grandpa told me because he seen something one night and I was like, Papa, what do you think that is? He said, dude, I think it's a descendants of Cain because he told me this story, a Bible story where God said He would curse Cain and put him on in the world forever or in the wilderness, something. Don't quote me, but I think it's that because it. I don't know. It's slick. It's slick.
I've heard that. I've heard that before too.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Billy, that's all I've got, bro.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Garrett, and telling
Oh,
us your
yes,
encounter.
sir. I appreciate y'all for having me.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yes,
And
sir.
if you want me to, I can send you that song to your messenger if you
Yeah,
want.
sure. That'd be cool.
All right.
All
I'll
right.
send that along.
Garrett, can you hang on for a minute after we close the show out?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so don't take off. You're gonna see a bunch of music and videos. Just hang in there. We'll be back.
That'll work.
All right. And just wanted to say thank you to everybody that tuned in tonight. We've got Tennessee Cherokee. We've got Jeffy Smith. We got Digger Dog. Earl Magnum. We've got who else is in there? I'm probably missing. There's Mick. Mick's always here. Digger Dog's always here. That's right. And again, I just want to remind everybody, I know that there's more listeners because I can look at the numbers compared to the chat. And if you guys log in to the chat, oh goodness, Mick's at it again, ain't he? I swear. Well, we appreciate it, guys.
Yep.
And we will see you guys next Monday night. And y'all have a great rest of the week. See you next Monday.
Night, everybody. Y'all be careful.
All right.